This computer right here cost me $30 on eBay, and today I'm going to show you what it's actually capable of, plus how spending just a little more money can turn it into a machine that runs modern games. I'll even show you how it's possible to fit a high-end graphics card into this tiny case. At first glance, it looks like a boring office PC, and honestly, that's exactly what it was back in 2014. But now it's 2026, and somehow this thing ended up in my hands, which means it's time to turn it into a budget gaming sleeper. And trust me, upgrading a cheap office PC like this is basically survival mode. Tiny case, weak power supply, weird proprietary connectors, one wrong part, and the whole build is dead. But that's what makes this fun. So the real question is, how far can we actually push this thing? Within the budget and within the physical limits of this case. Let's find out. This machine is a Dell Optiplex 7020. Yep, a classic pre-built Dell, designed to save space above all else. You can find tons of these all over eBay. Pop the side panel off, and honestly, it's tight, like lunchbox tight. There's basically one single spot where a GPU can go, and it only fits low-profile, super short cards. So if you already own a full-size GPU and don't want to sell it just to downsize, yeah, I ran straight into that same problem. But don't worry, I've got a workaround. I'll show you in a bit. For now, let's take a quick tour inside. First thing I notice, 8 GB of DDR3 RAM. Not bad, that's at least usable in 2026. Storage though, not great. There's no modern drive installed, just an old DVD drive hanging in there like it's 2012. Power-wise, things get even more limiting. There's only one SATA power connector, no extras. And on the motherboard, no M.2 slot at all. So yeah, if I want to add a more than one SSD, this system is already fighting me. This PC is compact, efficient, and extremely uncooperative when it comes to upgrades. With today's parts prices, building a brand new PC under $100 is basically impossible, unless you're not gaming at all. So the smarter move? Buy an old pre-built and upgrade it. And honestly, it's way easier than most people think. The first step is simple. Look for used pre-built PCs or old workstations. These machines were mass-produced, they're cheap on the used market, and most importantly, they give you a solid foundation to work with. From there, you just need to be a bit strategic. Not every pre-built is upgrade-friendly, so you want to keep a few key things in mind to avoid painting yourself into a corner later. CPU choice is especially important. If you're not sure which older CPUs are still worth using, there are actually some great ranking lists out there that break down older processors by real-world performance. I'll drop a helpful reference link in the description, so you don't have to guess. Bottom line, you don't need to build from scratch to build smart. Sometimes the best budget gaming PC starts life as a boring office box. Alright, let's see what we're actually working with here. I drop in an SSD just to test the system. Plug in the power, and boom, the fan spins up immediately. That's already a good sign. At least we know this thing is alive. Inside, we've got an Intel Core i5-4590. 4 cores, 4 threads, 3.3 GHz base clock, boosting up to 3.7 GHz. Back in its day, this CPU was everywhere. Offices, schools, gaming PC, you name it. It was basically the go-to sweet spot CPU for years. Performance-wise, it still holds up surprisingly well for its age. Nothing crazy by today's standards, but definitely not dead weight either. So now comes the real question. How does this old workhorse actually perform in games today? Let's load up some games and find out. Starting with Minecraft, this CPU only manages about 30 FPS at 8 chunks, 1080p. Already a rough start. Then in GTA 5, it gets even worse, around 10 FPS, which is basically unplayable. And CS2, it doesn't even make it into the match. Even with everything set to low, the system runs out of steam before the game can properly load. You can literally see the RAM getting maxed out just trying to enter the game. With the Intel HD 4600 integrated graphics, this system just can't hang with modern games. If we want it to actually game, it needs a real GPU. But here's the problem. How do you fit a full-size graphics card into a case this cramped? And it gets worse. The stock power supply is only 255 watts, and there's no PCIe power cable for a GPU. So that immediately limits our options. That means we're basically shopping in one category. GPU that don't need external power. Cards that run entirely off the PCIe slot. And honestly, that's the safest route anyway. These GPUs usually have low power draw. They're designed for OEM systems like this, and they won't turn your tiny Optiplex into a space heater. Could you run a higher power card with a second PSU? Sure, but that's